Welcome back. That's right, you're on The War Room with your hosts Roger Stone and Owen Schroyer. And the topic on the table is sexual harassment. I spoke to a senior Republican congressman yesterday who knows who's on the carefully hidden list of those members of Congress for whom U.S. taxpayers have paid out an astonishing $7 million, essentially in hush money, for their accusations of sexual harassment. This congressman assures me that 95% of the members of Congress on that list are Democrats. Is it surprising that Nancy Pelosi defends Detroit Congressman John Conyers as an icon? Conyers has been on my radar for a long time. He was one of the first members of Congress to advocate the impeachment of President Richard Milhouse Nixon decades ago. And now, somewhere, Richard Nixon is smiling. You see, Conyers is typical of the corrupt leadership of the Democratic Party in both houses of Congress and the double standard that members of Congress seem to apply to themselves. You see, they aren't under Obamacare. They don't have to pay for their own health care. They don't even have to pay to belong to a gym or athletic club. No, it's all paid for, courtesy of the U.S. taxpayers, Owen. It's an outrage. And now all Washington waits with bated breath for this carefully hidden list. Who's on the list? And who isn't? That's the question.
It's funny, Roger, because last week I was asking, my question was, how can you not have a bipartisan movement in Congress right now to release the names on this list that totaled more than $15 million of hush money? How can you not have a bipartisan movement to reveal those names, especially considering how every day on the Hill someone else is virtue signaling about stopping sexual harassment? Oh, but I guess you just answered that question, didn't you, Roger? 9 out of 10 of them are Democrats.
Well, but let's not lose sight of the fact, Owen, that it's a club. And unfortunately, both the Republicans and Democrats are in it. You see, the last election wasn't really about Republicans versus Democrats. In fact, Donald Trump's nomination and his election was the successful hostile takeover of the GOP. And in fact, the Republican establishment has done virtually everything they've been able to do to thwart his reform agenda and to undermine his presidency at virtually every turn. And when it comes to Congress, with the exception of a few of the Freedom Caucus members who, like Donald Trump, are true outsiders, trust me, they're all in it together.
Well, I think that that's more clear than probably ever, because it may be the first time you've ever actually had a Republican president get in and then just totally basically not get support on his agenda from the Speaker of the House, from the Senate Majority Leader. I mean, if anything, they've been obstacles, I would say, to Trump's agenda. So I think that that kind of proves exactly what you're talking about there, Roger. You know, I'm not sure where you wanted to go with the rest of today's news. Obviously, the sexual allegations continue to come down. We've got fake news everywhere. The Alabama election right now looks like it's close to call. And then sometime today, Roger, I've got my list here. I know that based on your advice, I took your advice. I've decided I'm going to spearhead the Michelle Obama for President 2020 campaign. Well, don't reveal this yet. This is secret information that can't be revealed until Roger gives me the go-ahead. But, Roger, I've got my list of 2020 DNC speakers that we can announce sometime, too. But back to the sexual assault stuff. So the White House has just come out and made a statement and said that Trump is not going to be campaigning for Roy Moore. I don't really think that's as big of a news story as they're making it. I don't think it really would make sense for Trump to campaign with Roy Moore anyway. He did offer some support of Roy Moore's campaign, basically saying, hey, look, we can't have another liberal on the Senate. So I think Trump's stance is pretty obvious on this one. I think he's doing the right thing.
Well, and also let's be clear, in this modern age, the instant the president said that, Roy Moore's political consultants had the president in a television spot letting the Alabama voters know that the president had endorsed their candidate. It's no longer necessary for the president to go to Alabama and do a whistle stop across that state. Believe me, due to the miracle of modern television, the voters of Alabama know exactly where Donald Trump stands. My own estimation, Owen, is that Roy Moore will squeeze this out by a point or two. And then the onus will be on the Republican caucus in the Senate to determine whether or not they will seat him. Now, this is a very slippery slope because, as you know, Mr. Moore, Judge Moore, has not been convicted in any court of law of sexual harassment or any other related crime. And many of those who will be sitting in judgment on whether Moore should be seated may, in fact, have skeletons in their own closet. And therefore, the hot potato of whether Roy Moore makes it to the United States Senate could be handed to the Republican majority in a few short days. What I do think is happening, however, is this entire media obsession with sexual harassment as an issue is, in a certain sense, blocking other extraordinary news. The value of Bitcoin, for example, has exploded, with the price moving to about $9,500 per Bitcoin today. As faith in centralized power structure begins to fade, decentralized and distributed solutions like Bitcoin are becoming even more attractive to the American people. Also, at the same time, President Trump is keeping his promise to make America great with new housing starts, new housing sales, smashing expectations and spiking to 10-year highs. The first average home price topped over $400,000 for the first time in American history. But again, the sexual harassment story is in some ways obscuring the incredible progress Donald Trump is making to revitalize our economy. Amazon made more money than ever during this past holiday season, but as Alex Jones revealed earlier today, the dark side of their success is becoming more and more public as reports show that their workers are being treated like cattle and subhuman servants to the Amazon warehouse robots. Workers are being carted away in ambulances more and more. It's almost a common occurrence. Amazon fulfillment employees in Germany and Italy actually went on strike on Black Friday, but Jeff Bezos doesn't care because he became worth over $100 billion this past week.
You know, it's amazing too, Roger, because, and I understand where some purists are coming from, where they don't like some of the things Trump is doing. However, Trump has moved the ball forward leaps and bounds beyond what anyone, I think, even expected. He's not even a year in office yet, and what he's done for the Make America First Again, Make America Great Again campaign, I think has really been incredible. But, to me, Roger, I said this last week on the show, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. It's kind of the same thing that we saw with LeVar Ball, where he's ungrateful. President Trump gets his son removed from prison for 10 years. Just totally disrespectful, ungrateful. It's the same thing in the American public right now. Trump has the stock market booming, the economy roaring, housing prices going up, unemployment down, and the American public that's brainwashed by the media just says, screw you, Trump, screw Trump, meh.
Yeah, no, unemployment at an all-time low. But, don't look to the media for good news. They will never give you good news. It reminds me of that old rock and roll song, Dirty Laundry by Glenn Frey. That's what they like, Owen, dirty laundry.
Yeah, I think that's because they've been swimming in their own dirty laundry for so long. That's why they're trying to search and obsess for Trump's dirty laundry. We'll be right back with more Roger.
Welcome back. There's the theme song of the Congressional Democratic Party, Dirty Laundry. The idea of 88-year-old John Conyers in his underwear cavorting around the office, well, that's a bit more than I can bear. It's an excellent time, though, for me to remind you that we here at InfoWars are completely listener and viewer supported. You see, we don't have a George Soros or a David Rockefeller standing in the wings writing us multi-million-dollar checks to fund our broadcasts and our expansion. We have to depend on you. And that's why I ask you to go to the Infowars.com store now. There's no better atmosphere for you to buy your iconic Bill Clinton rape t-shirt. This t-shirt was put on the map by Alex Jones in the last presidential campaign. While I designed the t-shirt, it was Alex Jones's idea to create a national contest in which any person who got on TV wearing the iconic Bill Clinton rape t-shirt would get a $1,000 reward. And if you managed to blurt out Bill Clinton is a rapist, why, that was worth an astonishing $5,000. Alex Jones and the folks at InfoWars paid out an incredible $250,000. And thus, the mainstream media blackout of Bill Clinton's record as a sexual assaulter and rapist was punctured. And now, why, the floodgates are open. 5 more women have come forward in the last 10 days to accuse the former president of sexual harassment. You can memorialize this moment now by going to the Infowars.com store and ordering your official Bill Clinton rape t-shirt. But let me remind you, this is the last day. Call it Cyber Monday. Some of our greatest sales will end tonight at midnight. And therefore, whether you are going for the new red pill formula or the super male vitality, living defense, or my all-time favorite, Brain Force Plus, now is the time. These incredible deep discounts will not last much longer, only until tonight. So I urge you to go to the website now and load up your cart. Let me say again, Alex Jones and the people at InfoWars, our entire team, never offer anything for sale that isn't the very best of its genre. And you will find on the site, in many cases, literally thousands of real testimonials from satisfied patriots who went to the site, helped us expand, helped our fight for press freedom, and bought the very best all-natural products, books, T-shirts, and other First Amendment accoutrements. Please go to the Infowars.com store and help fund the continued expansion of Infowars. When I was in Austin recently, I toured the new studio facility. Folks, it will be absolutely state-of-the-art. And we hope to expand well beyond the 10 hours of continued programming that you can get now at InfoWars. We bring you the truth. We are the cutting edge, the tip of the proverbial spear. We are the resistance, and we need your support. Many thanks. Now, Owen, the Congress doesn't have much time left on their legislative agenda, and they've got a number of things they want to do. First, we hope to pass a tax reform bill that will revitalize the American economy and remove some of the high tax barriers to job creation. And then there's the need for an omnibus, either a spending bill to fund the government or a continuing resolution to keep the government in business. But what concerns me is reauthorization of Title VII of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, known as FISA. First passed in 1978, FISA was supposed to guarantee that the government could only surveil foreign nationals who are in touch with American citizens. But as we have learned only recently, 90% of the surveillances conducted under FISA have been of U.S. citizens. You're looking at one of them. We know that at least 30,000 Americans were illegally, unconstitutionally surveilled by the Obama NSA, pardon me. And the Congress is rushing to reauthorize this under a bill sponsored by the chairman of the Senate Intelligence Committee, Senator Richard Burr. This is a slippery slope. The FISA Act urgently needs reform. It is a sure violation of the U.S. Constitution. And there are a number of reform options before the Congress. The Liberty Amendment Act was introduced by Senator Patrick Leahy, pardon me, and Mike Lee of Utah, improves greatly upon the legislation put forward by Senator Richard Burr. Richard Burr, I don't need to point out, has been a leading critic of the president in the entire Russian collusion, delusion investigation. There is, in fact, a superior bill, however, put forward by Senator Rand Paul that is, I think, far superior to Mr. Burr's proposal. I urge you to look at a terrific piece today on The Hill by Jason Pye of FreedomWorks, who really sums this up extraordinarily well. This is a slippery slope, and our constitutional rights are being eroded even as we speak. Here is an opportunity to reform the FISA law and to restore our constitutional rights, the right to be free of government snooping, reading your emails, surveilling your texts, listening to your phone calls. If you don't think it's happening, folks, read the stunning articles put forward by Circa News about the decisions put forward by the FISA court this past November, which revealed that the court itself said that the Obama administration was violating our Fourth Amendment constitutional rights, and they did so in a most cavalier attitude. Again, I strongly recommend the passage of Senator Rand Paul's bill for reform. Owen?
Well, there's a lot of unconstitutionality going on with our government. It'd be nice to see more people like Rand Paul take the step forward of introducing legislation to actually try to, tamper and taper some of this down. I mean, it's something that of all the members of Congress, Roger, almost nobody seems to be interested in actually upholding their oath to the Constitution. Rand Paul has always been a leader in that, so I'm not surprised he's the one spearheading any movements to try to bring the government back under the jurisdiction of the Constitution.
No, his proposal, called the USA Rights Act, would stop the backdoor searching of Americans for information and permanently end the abilities to do these, what they call about collection data. Rand Paul's bill, without any question, superior. We'll be back in just a few moments on The War Room, but please, folks, before you can pass another moment, hit the Infowars.com store because we need your support. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're on The War Room with your hosts, Roger Stone and Owen Schroyer. And Owen, I know you're going to find this shocking, but someone on Special Counsel Robert Mueller's team is leaking information to the press. Again, in a stunning display of hubris, Mueller and his team seem to want to attempt to condemn Trump and his associates in the court of public opinion. Many have had just about enough of this partisan witch hunt, and finally, an organization called Freedom Watch has decided to do something about it. Today, Freedom Watch, along with a former federal antitrust prosecutor, filed a complaint for writ of mandamus and injunctive relief in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. This motion is to force the Justice Department's Office of Professional Responsibility and the Inspector General to investigate alleged criminal leaks of grand jury information that have consistently emanated from the office of the special counsel, Robert Mueller, as well as obvious conflicts of interest among Mr. Mueller's staff. It sure is a pity that we have to sue the Justice Department to do their job.
Well, it's no surprise.
In other news, of course, we learned that Fusion GPS, the shady deep state investigative operation that undeniably colluded with Hillary Clinton in the 2016 presidential election, up to and including payoffs to reporters, oh my goodness, to carry water on their fake Russian dossier statement, and yet Attorney General Jeff Sessions continues to do nothing. Asleep at the wheel, Sessions continues to be asleep at the wheel while these stunning violations of law hit the media. Do you know what happens, Owen, when you're in a fast-moving car but you're asleep at the wheel? You crash, which is why I predict right here and now that Attorney General Jeff Sessions will be gone by the end of the year. You heard it here first.
By the end of the year, huh?
That's what my very best White House sources say. I think the president's patience are exhausted. One important correction, however, and that is, I learned today that media reports that the Attorney General had recused himself in the matter of Uranium-1 are inaccurate. He has not done so, which means that the Attorney General has the authority today to appoint a special prosecutor to examine the entire Uranium-1 scandal. You're familiar with this. It's where 9 members of the board of directors of Uranium-1 contributed $145 million to the Clinton Foundation. Now, the Clinton Foundation is not a charity. It's always been a slush fund for grifters, and in this case, the vehicle for the facilitation of multi-million-dollar bribes. And just to make sure that everything was good, Bill Clinton got a cool $500,000 for a speaking fee from Uranium-1. Now, the irony, of course, is that a special counsel appointed to look into Uranium-1 would have to focus on 4 individuals: Robert Mueller, former FBI director; James Comey, former FBI director; Andrew McCabe, deputy FBI director; and Rod Rosenstein, currently the number 2 man at the Trump Justice Department, but then the supervising U.S. attorney on the Uranium-1 investigation. Now, I ask you, how can these men be investigating the president for Russian collusion when they themselves would be under investigation for corruption in the Uranium-1 cover-up? So the course is clear. If the president wants to save himself, and by the way, assurances that he has given to many in recent days that he is soon to be cleared in the entire Russian collusion investigation, I think are optimistic at best. It tells me that the president is listening to his attorney, Ty Cobb. I think he misunderstands the partisan nature and determination of Robert Mueller, hitman for the deep state, to end the Trump presidency. That's why we must have a special prosecutor for Uranium-1. Owen?
Well, I completely agree with you, especially when I saw this story today that came out of the AP. FBI gave heads up to fraction of Russian hackers' U.S. targets. And the story goes on and basically talks about how this Russian, they say a Russian government-aligned cyber espionage group, Fancy Bear, which is complete mumbo-jumbo. It's just a hacking group or malware group, whatever you want to say it, out of Russia. Of course, there's hackers in Russia that try to put malware on Americans' computers to get information or to hack in or what have you. It could be as simple as stealing a credit card information or a social security number, or let's say it does go higher, and then you have someone like Hillary Clinton with an illegal server with classified information. Now they might be getting government secrets. But Roger, what I see them doing actually with this story is, with just like with the sexual assault thing, they want this all to come back on Trump. Because if you read the story, really what the story is that James Comey's FBI failed. James Comey's FBI was asleep at the wheel, and while it knew all of this Russian hacking was going on, didn't tell anyone, didn't report it to the people that were hacked, didn't even tell Hillary Clinton, who had an illegal private server that was wide open for anyone to hack, didn't tell anyone in the Democrat Party that hired Imran Awan, who was working remotely from Pakistan on Democrat servers. James Comey's FBI completely dropped the ball on it. But how do they spin it, Roger? FBI knew of Russian hackers targeting the U.S. Government-linked Russian hackers targeted the U.S. It's Russia here, it's Russia there. So they don't even tell you the real story that James Comey, FBI, completely flopped, completely failed, completely peed the bed on this one. No, it's all about legitifying the Russian hacking, the Russian collusion story. So to me, my sentiment completely echoes what you're saying. They're not going to stop with this Russia thing. They're going to continue to play this Russia card, even though they know it can't win. I mean, it's a 2 and a 7 in a game of Hold'em. You're not going to win. So they're doing it, though, to keep that mothball out there, to keep that thing out there. And then eventually when they have enough on the sexual harassment stuff, I think that's when they'll kind of bury this and go with that angle. But I completely agree with you, Roger. They're not going to stop with this Russia thing. They got to keep that thing out there.
Even though it is very clear that they've come up completely and totally empty-handed, you notice the indictments of Paul Manafort and his associate Rick Gates had nothing whatsoever to do with Russia. How curious. Now, it's gotten so bad, Owen, that when I go into a bar and I order a very dry vodka martini, I don't even ask for Russian vodka anymore. I'm afraid it might be the source of a criminal indictment. When I order my salad, I have to pass on the Russian dressing. It's reached absurd proportions. Yet,
well,
today,
Roger, did you see? I mean, they were playing Tchaikovsky at the White House this morning. I think we need to investigate that. I mean, who put that?
There needs to be a grand jury on that immediately.
Yeah.
Immediately.
I agree.
Look, It's interesting to me that the FBI released 75 incredible emails today, which showed that Hillary Clinton was given special treatment in the email investigation, and that Deputy Attorney General Andrew McCabe was violating the Hatch Act by taking $450,000 in campaign contributions for his wife's campaign for the Virginia State Senate, funneled to him by Clinton associate Terry McAuliffe, the governor of Virginia. The stage is set to blow Mr. McCabe out of the FBI and for a total house cleaning under Director Wray. Welcome back. You're at the War Room with your hosts Roger Stone and Owen Schroyer. And I want to point out that InfoWars is really the only three-dimensional alt-right media outlet where you can watch us on the internet, you can listen to us on the radio, you can read the terrific stories posted at our website. We are the cutting edge. We are the leaders of the resistance. And we've been building up sales all week to give you the very best. And that's why we're calling today Cyber Monday. That's right. Free shipping for anything you order at the InfoWars store. Take advantage of our incredible limited prices and save big on your health and security with InfoWars Life Select Survival Foods at 50% off, or Emmerich's Essential Products at 50% off. We have huge savings on some of the most favorite products at InfoWars, products that the crew takes every day, like Brain Force Plus, my personal favorite, Super Male Vitality, which Michael Zimmerman would not be without, and of course, Knockout for 50% off. I like Knockout because you get a safe and restful sleep supplement, yet you wake up the next morning refreshed and alert. There's no hangover. 100% natural. This is better than anything you can buy in the drugstore, even, I think, things that you can get over the counter. So now is the time. And again, free shipping if you order today in this incredible Cyber Monday special. And 10% off with a code bonus. So if you have an InfoWars Life gift card, you can spread the truth and knowledge to your friends this Christmas. Go to the site now for these incredible bargains and help fund our expansion and our fight for the truth. We are the resistance. We are the cutting edge. But we have no multinational corporations or elusive billionaires in the background financing our operations. We can only depend on you. So please give us your support today. Owen?
Well, Roger, you had encouraged me to spearhead the Michelle Obama for President 2020 campaign. So I had to take your advice. I mean, if Roger Stone is going to offer you a piece of advice like that, you have to absolutely take it. And while I'm no master in psychology, I think I have a pretty good understanding of basic human psychology. And I really believe that there is a reverse psychology tactic to announcing Michelle Obama for president before she actually runs to defeat her campaign. Because, you see, if we report on that, if we break that news, if we say it first, just because it came from us, it's so toxic to liberals that they won't be able to embrace it. They won't be able to get behind it because they heard it on InfoWars first. So therefore, it's so toxic, Michelle wouldn't have a chance. But I still got to pull for my guy, Michael, excuse me, my girl, Michelle. And I just want to tell you, Roger, I want to get your thoughts on this. I've now come up with the 2020 Democrat National Convention speakers for Michelle Obama. Are you ready for this, Roger?
I am. Plus, I'm very anxious to hear your nominees for Michelle Obama's running mate. I know Harvey Weinstein's at the top of your list, but I want to hear what the other options are.
You know what? That's actually one that's tough, but I think I have the answer for you, at least right now, where it could go. But that one is still, I think, kind of, I'm not sure about that. But here's what we got so far for the DNC speakers, Roger. All right? We've got Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick will be speaking at the 2020 DNC. You've got Harvey Weinstein. He's a shoo-in. I mean, Harvey Weinstein is basically a shoo-in at the 2020 DNC, folks. Al Franken. We got to get Al Franken in there. Al Franken will be speaking at the 2020 DNC. John McCain. John McCain. I think it'll be the first sitting Republican to ever speak, or I guess he probably won't be sitting at that time, but probably the first Republican to ever speak at a DNC. Congratulations, John McCain. Rosie O'Donnell. We're going to get the fat pig, Rosie O'Donnell, up there. Again, just Rosie, not all women, just Rosie. Roger Goodell, I think, would be an excellent speaker for the 2020 DNC. Of course, Goodell will probably be long gone from the NFL by then, but he's a nice liberal. Jimmy Kimmel, we'll get him to get up there, shed a couple crocodile tears over, sexual assault and gun violence. Nancy Pelosi, I'm not sure if she'll still be able to put two and two together, but she'd be great entertainment for the 2020. John Podesta, you got to get Podesta up there. Of course, Podesta is going to be followed by Hillary Clinton. She'll be Skyping in from prison for Michelle Obama's 2020 DNC. And then Keith Olbermann and Lena Dunham rounding it out. Maybe a tag team duo, Keith Olbermann, Lena Dunham, for the two craziest people in media on the left. And then I'm thinking Michelle Obama's vice president might be Linda the Cockroach Sarsour. So there you go, Roger. There's my idea. What do you think?
Well, I'm not sure that Linda Sarsour is eligible because, of course, she's not a U.S. citizen. Now, the great danger to a Michelle Obama nomination would be if Senator Al Franken decides to run and then offers the vice presidency to the Green Party nominee from 2016, Jill Stein. That would, of course, be the Frankenstein ticket. The other great danger, of course, is I say that you had that you had Megyn Kelly on your speakers list, but she
canceled her.
Been canceled, yes. You beat me to it.
Yeah, she's so irrelevant now that it's almost not even worth it.
Well, if we can be serious for a moment, that was a terrific piece that you showed a moment ago where Doug Schoen, who for my money is, in my view, one of the smartest analysts in the Democratic Party, points out that Michelle Obama is head and shoulders above all the other potential Democratic candidates. I have predicted here on the War Room and on the Alex Jones Show that she will be the nominee. When Doug Schoen talks about what's happening in American politics, whether it's the Democratic Party or the populace in general, I listen. Very, very shrewd analysis. Doug Schoen. Follow him carefully. He appears at Fox And to my mind, he's the most objective and knowledgeable of the Democrats out there. I do think that what you have seen in recent days, where Michelle Goldberg, Chris Hayes, Ross Douthat, I guess you say it, at the New York Times, have systematically turned on the Clintons, means that the Obamas have given the signal. The Democratic Party is going to download the Clintons the way the Soviet Union downloaded Stalin under Khrushchev. They will be non-people. So therefore, I doubt that Hillary Clinton will be invited to the convention, even if the problems that are confronted by her confinement in a federal penitentiary would make it possible through the modern miracle of Skype. The Democrats' enthrallment with the Clinton days is over, and they are to be assigned to the dustbin of history. When the liberals turn on you once and for all, you know you're done. Now, for anyone who doesn't know the shocking history of Bill and Hillary Clinton, I commend to you The Clintons' War on Women by Roger Stone. You can find this incredible book at the InfoWars store now. And it is a story of rape, sexual assault, treason, epic greed, and crime that boggles the mind. If you thought you knew the story of Bill and Hillary and their greedy little daughter, Chelsea, you're wrong. This book will curl your ears. Included, of course, is the fact that Chelsea is the real daughter of Webster Hubbell and Hillary Clinton, or the incredible story about the abandonment of Bill's natural-born son, Danny Williams, banished by Hillary. The Clintons' War on Women, now at the Infowars.com store. Get your copy today.
Well, Roger, you said you expect Roy Moore to win this Senate election by a hair. The polls have it going back and forth. I don't even believe the polls to begin with. But real quick, before we let you go, you still think that Roy Moore is looking like he can win?
Well, he's certainly in the ballpark. It is a very close race. I think it's important to note that this was a close race even before the allegations of sexual assault or harassment by Roy Moore. And therefore, I think he will hold on. But in American politics, a day is a lifetime. And an election that is almost a little longer than 12 days away could go either way. Let's see what happens.
That's Roger Stone. He departs now. He will be back with us tomorrow as usual. This is The War Room, and we will be back right after this break.